Hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to day 2 of Hillhead 2026 here at the stand of RSP UK. RSP UK partnered up with the whole RSP group. So under the RSP umbrella you get the benefit of both technologies, pump-based, the Amphitec product here on a static display in front of our building. And behind the building we have the live demo area. So in case you haven't seen that yet, come around. Tris, our trainer, is going to start the live demo in a few moments. And back here on display we have the ESE 6 new generation, our suction excavator. So this is a unit where the German manufacturer RSP has by now produced more than 3,000 units that are being used worldwide. It's equipped with a powerful double fan, and a unique feature about it, we produce it in-house, so it's not any industrial supplier, it's an RSP product. Aside from that, what does the new generation mean? The airflow has been redesigned, so you get more power out of it. But as you know, it's not always about more power, it's about efficiency. So you can use lower suction stages, lower RPM, and therefore have a way better efficiency. The redesign of that container, you will see it in a minute. So after the suction demo, we'll tip the container, you can see the inside. It has been redesigned as well to enable a better discharge process. Less material will get stuck on the walls, so that's another benefit. And while Tris is getting the demo ready, we'll start up the fan in just a few moments. Have a look at the arm. An arm you can find on most suction excavators. However, this one is equipped with a swivel joint. So it's that rotational device in the middle that Tris will show you in a couple of moments. It adds another plane of motion, so you can actually reach confined spaces that you were never able to reach before in the underground construction business. So while Tris is getting ready, Tris, are you ready? What we have here in the suction box, so to speak, we have some underground utilities simulated. Of course, it's loose material, but I'll explain a bit more what you can do in compact ground with that. And Tris is just showing us that movement of the arm. So instead of just forward and back and up and down and left and right, it adds that rotational movement where you can reach underneath sidewalks and other confined spaces. And he's controlling all of that with our remote control, which comes with every truck. So it's not an option, it's standard, enabling you to operate all the modes of the suction excavator with that remote. You will not have to touch anything on the truck. So Tris, you ready? All right, so he's gonna start up the fan in a moment. The most powerful fan on the market, so it is proven the best performing suction excavator on the market and also the best selling. And then he's going to show us how to precisely excavate the material around the utilities that are in that box. Tris? So you can hear the engine winding up. Within the Mercedes-Benz we have a direct PTO powering the fan. And that's the massive airflow that just started. And as he's going to hover that nozzle on top of the material, you will see the airflow pulling in the material and exposing those utilities. So all those movements are precisely controlled with the remote. We have several suction stages for this material. Suction stage 1 is just enough for the lowest fuel consumption and therefore the best efficiency. So as you can see, the airflow is doing the work for you, pulling up anything that's 120 kilograms is no problem. So these stones are just an easy job for the suction excavator. As you also notice, the nozzle itself, it's not steel, it's plastic to avoid or to actually have an insulation factor as well. So it's non-conductive for any electricity inside the ground. If you imagine that one of those pipes would be a water pipe and having a leak, excavating not just the solid material, but the liquids is not a problem for the suction excavator. So it's not just there to expose utilities for additional installations, it's also good for any emergency response, exposing any kind of leaks to repair them. So while Tris is continuing to expose anything that's hidden in the ground there, all that material by now is going through the 3-stage separation that you will see in a minute once we tip, and all that material is stored inside that 8 cubic meter container. Also, if you look at the truck itself, you don't see any dust coming out of it. So it's an efficient filtration system after that 3-stage separation, making sure that the environment is kept clean of any dust that's obviously inside the material being excavated. Also, if you look at the design, the tipping axis on the right, designed for the UK. In case you have special applications, you can pre-order a left-hand tip as well, whatever you need for your application in your business. Aside from the excavation business itself, of course, Tris, he's our trainer at RSP UK. We have a designated academy where you can have your operators trained to all the standards you need, NVQ and EUSR, of course. And we also have a dedicated service location in Bedford, just north of London, to support your business. As you can see, Tris is mastering the art of controlling that arm without actually touching the utilities. And that's the idea, contactless or touchless excavation without touching the utilities. Let the airflow do the work for you. And in a more compact ground, all of our units are equipped with a Matai compressor. So we have air connections at the back of the vehicle, and with like an air spade or an air gun, a second operator could aid in the excavation process and loosen that clay ground. That of course is a challenge with a pure airflow only. So let's say the construction site has been excavated fully. You're doing your repair work. What happens with the truck? What happens with the material? So Tris is going to bring the arm into a position where we can actually tip. He's going to back up the truck, which you would also do on the construction site, or relocate it to any form of container where you tip the material into. And that's what you will be able to see in a few moments. Another benefit, you can kind of guess it, the nozzle stays on the arm. So you could leave the nozzle on the arm, save a few minutes setting up the work site, and also before going back home or going on to the next project. So that's another benefit of the RSP unique swivel joint on this truck. Nowhere else available in the industry. So Tris is just getting into the truck, backing it up. And of course, the material, depending on the site, can be used for backfill. That of course depends on the actual needs of the construction site and the needs of the ground, how you have to rebuild it, and depending on the surface that will be put onto it thereafter. So on the right hand side of the truck, he's just getting the remote again, some storage for your tools and nozzles. So just starting up the truck again, moving the arm back to minimize the stress on the hose when we open the lid. And then he's putting these support legs or outriggers down because of the center of gravity shift once we tip the container. So the lid is just lifting up, opening to the left-hand side. In the front of the lid, you can see the nozzles that are the automatic filter cleaning. We recommend to use that after every suction process to get the maximum performance out of your truck. So now looking at the container design, you can see the reinforced steel impact area with the horizontal strakes. That's the main impact area of auto material entering the container. In front of that, the blue section, those are the 40 filters. You can take single filters out or the whole cartridge. That's up to you. The filters can be high pressure washed. And our training center can also train you on how to do the best maintenance on the filters, because they're an integral part to protect the fan, but also to keep the maximum performance. So as you can see, the rear part, some of the liquid for the dust suppression coming out, and out of the filters you see it's essentially dry. So that design keeps the water away from the filters as well as the dust. And it's a full 3-stage separation that RSP has invented and patented, and that keeps the maximum performance throughout the suction process. So essentially, while Tris is getting the machine ready to be back in action, short summary: you've seen the ESE 6 new generation live demo, ideal for any underground construction, exposing utilities, any dry material. It works just as fine wet, and it's an RSP in-house produced fan that's in there, a redesigned airflow to get more performance out of the truck, as well as a redesigned container for the material not to get stuck in there, as well as the RSP unique swivel joints equipped on the arm, adding another plane of motion to reach those confined spaces. So Tris, thank you for the demo. Thank you guys especially for listening. Our sales team is here ready to answer any further questions, and of course to have a refreshment with you, spend some time in the shade and talk about your business, your application, to find the right product that suits your needs. Thank you for listening.